So some of the misconception is that it might be cheap. Some of the misconception is that sometimes around privacy, if we're talking about retargeting, some people get concerned. When it comes to social media, and this is one of those provoking topics that I really don't have the answer, but I would love to engage the audience actually and get more feedback, is that when you're in a social environment, you know, how do you truly advertise? Because and I always said, think about yourself and you are maybe in a gathering at home, or maybe you're in somebody's house in a barbecue these days now that we're almost in summertime. Do you really want somebody to interrupt that conversation and all of a sudden sell you something or offer you something? And I think that that's the biggest challenge for advertisers when it comes to social media. You know, how do you engage in a conversation without interrupting? And to me, that still remains to be seen. How effective can it be? Clearly, there are some advertisers that they have taken the lead in maybe creating the environment versus being part of the environment. And there's the market still, when it comes to social, is still very, very young, and probably will evolve in multiple ways from today. But it's really exciting what's going on in terms of switching traditional media into all this digital space.
How has the demand for digital, how are general market creative agencies handling the transition to infuse and incorporate digital into the model?
I think the success for that is briefing for it all at the same time. I think that digital needs to be, or digital creative need to be in the brief at the same time as traditional creatives. And it should be more of a collaboration. You know, in the past, the way I used to work, and part of the thing that I brought to Gray is, in my previous agency, my partner worked in a completely different medium. He was purely digital, and I was purely traditional. And the thing that really made us both strong is that we both fully understood each other's medium. So when it came time to look at ideas, we looked at it from a holistic approach. He had a willingness to understand and learn all the successes and opportunities that a traditional environment could have, and I had the same enthusiastic approach to what digital could do. Halfway through our careers, we actually traded places. So I became purely digital, and he started to become purely traditional, but you can't really say pure because we actually understood each other's medium. I feel like in order for there to be a really strong integrated approach that, you know, I hate to say it, but you know, the thing that I love about Gray is that the traditional creatives sit blended with the traditional creatives, and we have one conversation. It's not, I have something finished and I'm going to take it and see what you can do with it for Facebook. It's the conversation about the idea, and that's the thing that is cherished here. And I think maybe that makes us, you know, gives us the success rate that we've had at Gray. It's the fact that everything is seen as an integrated model.
One of the biggest challenges is just finding the right channel. So, or mixing the right channel in terms of social, mobile, just finding out where the consumer is and the appropriate way to address them.
What's been the most rewarding project you've worked on, and what was that?
Well, there's been a lot of them. I think Nike Plus redesign has been the most rewarding. That was the most extensive so far. Nike Plus is a huge platform with a ton of users, and you know, we really had to, you know, kind of go from top to bottom in terms of the experience, and you know, really put our first foot forward in terms of making a world-class experience there. So we started like from personas and just user research on through you know, usability testing and you know, ultimate launches.
What would you say is one of the major misperceptions that brands have about reaching people on the digital side?
I think a lot of times recently there's a mentality of, you know, if you build it, they will come. And in digital, sometimes that happens, but we found that, you know, having a solid awareness plan is sort of key to getting people to acknowledge that things exist and to use them.
Mobile should be included in everything. So from what I'm receiving now from the brand side, from the agency side, it's, we have this campaign, here's the mobile component. And, let's say an agency has 200 campaigns a year, or 200 projects a year, and let's say 10% of them or 20% of them have a mobile component. I think you need to look at it as mobile being a piece of everything. So whether or not there's a, the brand says there's a fit, you should make a fit. Because the mobile device is really becoming, it's a lifestyle tool. I'd rather leave my keys at home than my phone. And really what's really helped the mobile industry in the last year and a half or so has been something like American Idol, which basically taught the world, or America how to text. And iPhones have made technology sexy. So knowing that and seeing how people interact, you just have to make it a piece. And the more you look at mobile as a strategy and not a one-off campaign, the better off you'll be. Because it's an engaging tool and it's the most intimate device you have.
Trends or predictions? Do you want to share?
My prediction is within 2 to 3 years, I think it's everybody's prediction, within 2 to 3 years, I believe that most major publications will be in iPad format, which will then force the market to adapt that style of publication format, and will it force the advertising industry to adapt a different format for how they do advertising. If you look at the Wired magazine iPad app for their publication, and I think that's a starting point. It's a completely immersive experience for how you look at a publication. And if you look at most of the print ads, they contain content. Some of them contain commercials, which I feel like is a loss of opportunity because it's the ability to create something new for the space. I feel like as more brands start to adopt that style of advertising, I think that the industry will follow suit. And my hope is that we tend to lead the conversation versus following it. But that relies on people like me that, or people not like me, people who haven't really understood digital, but run accounts of, a various degree, being able to adapt that style of thinking.
Digital is becoming a commodity. So the experience layer of things is going to be the primary key of getting people to buy into your brand. I think the utility is going to be there across the board, but how can you make that utility fun? How can you make it compelling? How can you make it delightful to use?
I think what's really happened is, after the financial blizzard hit, about a year and a half ago, mobile kind of went from this huge, big idea experiential, let's have 4 people, participate in these giant ideas, to mass market. And what's really happened is applications, mobile web, and SMS have kind of been retooled. So they've really, they've taken it back to basics, but, for the most part, they've leveraged these tools in an interesting way, which is, the short term is location based. So knowing that I'm sitting here right now and opening an application and receiving, some sort of information based on my location, to hypersensitive location-based targeting. And what that term means is not defined yet, but the only way I can describe it is, if you've never watched the movie, watch this. It's not a Tom Cruise fan, but it's Minority Report, and it's basically where we're going with advertising as a whole, and mobile being the good component. So the hyper-local targeting is breaking things down and targeting to a super level. Very granular stuff, cool stuff.
Believer that you need to try. Regardless of your business, it's all about trying, it's all about running pilots. There's a reason why there's so much demand around digital or any of the social components of digital media these days. I think that every firm should try it if it makes sense for your target audience. And I'm a big fan of really, I mean, outside of digital, really any media for that matter, or any new adventures or any new trends out there. You need to try and you need to see if, at the end of the day, the target audience, if it is there, you need to go after it.